out of that. So yeah, that's what we do.
Good. Now I notice you guys didn't say anything about money.
Right.
Neither of you. All right. So most entrepreneurs, most purpose-driven entrepreneurs are not focused on money. Yeah, we need money. Money will come after impact. So if we're going after impact, we're going after something bigger. And if you believe in good and evil, heaven and hell, the enemy doesn't want us to be successful. The enemy doesn't want us to impact lives. The enemy doesn't want us to be fulfilled, right? So we're always having these negative pterodactyl poop dumping on us. And we really need a community of like-minded people who are all in the same boat and like, hey, let's do this together. Okay. So that's what Wednesday morning is all about. Right. So anyway, any final thoughts on that before we transition kind of into the content?
Well, I think, one thing about this group is that there's a celebration, and it really enforces the old saying that birds of a feather flock together. And there's an accountability, here. I honestly, Caleb, I wish I could say I didn't think about you at all, but you and Mike are always in my forefront. I'm like, okay, I need to call somebody. What do I need to, I feel a little lost. What's going on? And so there's that level of accountability to want to be able to do something and step up. So I really appreciate this, because one thing we know about entrepreneurship, you can't do it alone. We do. It is alone in that it's your vision, but then we step out and find that 6 degrees of separation to really bring it into fruition.
Amen. That's right.
I just wanted to say good morning because it took me a minute to kind of get sorted. But yeah, accountability 100% on that. And I just want to say, just showing up, knowing I'm going to be here, does get me super focused. I mean, I keep saying I'm a productive snail, but I'm at least moving forward. And this group, every day, every Wednesday, I have so much more productivity after I meet with the group. I need the support. I realize how important it is. That's why I'm part of this. I've been trying to do this on my own for so long, and it just isn't happening. So that alone is, what do they say? It's something like, 1% idea and then 99% sweat and blood and tears, everything else comes along with it. So showing up is just, I wanted to say, I'm here, I'm, ready to absorb it all.
And I will say to Denzor, our newest member, I don't know how you found out about it, but I say at least give us 60 days, give us 2 or 80, 2 months of coming and showing up. And I can pretty much guarantee you that your life will be the better for it. Your life, your business, you can't go wrong being a part of this group. An hour once a week, a part of this group, I can positively, outside of being Jesus and God and the Holy Ghost, I can pretty much guarantee you that you will soar from being in this group. And I'm not saying that to blow smoke up your behind.
Well, I will. Well, I'm only giving you 1 day. How about that? Impact. But thank you to hear your voices. And Caleb, that was a really good question. Asked of Mike, and all I see is an uncommon voice of coaching, which is really great as well. And my just quick response to that, to your question would be, I was born to do this. I don't have to ask myself why anymore. It's just like if a lion is born, it's born to do a certain thing, or eagle. And so, when we find out why we are doing what we're doing, we just act. And I think, just taking action and knowing when that voice is in your head, and saying, when you're sleeping and it says, hey, you know what, do this. And not until you accomplish it, it will always haunt you. And it's more so about, it's not my past that haunts me, it's my future, of knowing that, the capabilities and the things that I have to do it. And I don't ever want to be haunted by anything that I didn't do. So that's what kind of keeps me going. So thank you so much, Miss, I don't know your name, but all I see is an uncommon voice. But thank you so much for that as well. And thanks.
Dawn Marie.
Dawn Marie, thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
All right, cool. Let's get into the content today. So going back to that strategic planning I had in Vegas, I realized that I wanted to, one of my big goals was FunnelFlow open for business. And really what that meant to me, and the idea of the big strategic goal is something inspirational. It's something that gets me excited. Okay. And if you have a team, it would be something that gets the team excited, like, hey, we are open for business this year. And what open for business means for me, and I have a sneeze creeping in, is that I really want to finalize everything that I've been doing 90%, right? We have a lot of things that we do kind of half-baked, and we just kind of get through it. But I really want to finalize my programs. I want to finalize my offers so that I'm set up to scale. And really, for the customer, for the client, it makes success inevitable because everything's laid out. It's almost like a paint by numbers, right, Jill? All right. So that's been my focus. So I've been thinking through, like, okay, as I'm washing dishes or I'm, sweeping the kitchen, as we do, it's like my brain is trying to figure out how to untie the snot. And I'm like, okay, so I've been talking about this concept of, backing up. So I really wanted, as part of that open for business, Emily, say hello, and then you need to go. Say hi. Just say hi. Okay. Just wave. Okay. I love you. All right. Go make me some coffee. I love you. Bye-bye. We're going to learn. Okay. Thank you.
I'm not learning.
Okay. I need you to go. Thank you. All right. Okay. Anyway, she turns 8 tomorrow. Anyway. All right. So I've been talking. I lost my train of thought. I'll just show you. I'll show you the picture. How's that? Okay. We'll just go over to my desktop here. Okay. So I've been teaching this concept of the MVM flywheel for a while, and I've been so focused on kind of communicating the strategy that I have been less focused on the tactics, because the idea of the MVM flywheel, it's not a tactical document. It's just giving you a 100,000-foot view on what you need to be focused on in your marketing for your lead generation and sales for your business. Okay. And so I've been so focused on just communicating the strategy. I think some people, and even myself, have kind of been, it's like, okay, well, this is great. How do I actually implement this? Okay. And just a quick overview, if you're new to the group, and Randy, so it's really simple. You understand. So these are the 4 minimum elements you need in a marketing campaign for it to be successful. And if you leave one of these out, you will have results, but it will not ultimately grow your business in the way in which you want it to. Okay. So you just need to understand your dream client. What are their problems? What are their pain points that you're addressing? You need to get your message in front of them, basically saying, hey, I can help you. That's what publishing is. We need to capture their information so that we can follow up with them. This is direct response marketing 101. It's like, hey, I have something for you. Give me your contact information. I'm going to give it to you. Okay, so this is lead caption. This is lead capture, lead generation, customer acquisition. This is where funnels come into it. And then we need to nurture that lead, because a name, email, and maybe a phone number, that's not going to build our business. We need to build a relationship with that individual and let them know that we can help them with our product or services and make it easy for them to buy. Okay. And the idea of the flywheel is, if they're not ready right away, as most aren't, we need to continue to publish and then continue to capture their attention, continue to nurture. It's a continuum until people are, they are ready to, till they're our biggest fan. Okay. Does that make sense? So it's not looking at customer acquisition as this straight line where you get the customer and then the job's done. No, it's a continual thing where we're building relationship with them and we are constantly delivering more value to them, and eventually money is changed hands. Does that make sense? Now, the problem is, okay, and then just now if you take one of these things out, we'll see what happens. So if we were simply to focus on publishing with our dream client of mine, but we didn't have nurture, we didn't have capture, we would have what's called brand awareness. Okay, so now you have the big companies that run, billboard ads and Super Bowl commercials, and you hear about them, but there's no necessarily call to action. There's no offer. It's like Coca-Cola or Amazon, right? It just flashes the logo. Who remembers back in the late 90s Enron commercials? Do you remember those? Anybody? Okay, well, obviously Enron is defunct. That's why I think it's a fun story. But I remember Enron commercials in the late 90s, and it would have like these people outside, and like it was kind of like the pharmaceutical commercials. It's like, why is everyone running outside dancing in the sun? You know? And then it would say Enron, right, with their logo. I'm like, what is this about? What do these people sell? Like, who's ever seen a commercial that you like have no idea what they sell? You have no idea what they're about. There's no offer, there's no call to action, right? It's from like some lobbying group or something like that. Anybody? Right? That's what happens when you publish without an offer. Okay, you have brand awareness. People know your name, but they don't really know what to do. Now, that works for big mega companies because they want you to be in a grocery store, or I don't know, talking to your doctor and saying, oh, what about that one thing, right? Oh, I wanted to try that cookie brand or something, right? So as small business owners, we don't have an endless marketing budget to do that, right? So we need to, every dollar we put into marketing, whether it's physical money or blood, sweat, and tears, trying to generate business, like we need to see an ROI. So we need to get people's information so that we can follow up with them. Okay, so that's the basis of the MVM flywheel. Now, where I don't want to say gone wrong, where I have not focused on in the past is really the tactics to implement this, right? We've talked about different ways that you can capture people's information with different funnels and things like that, like lead magnet funnels, where we just get their name and email and we send them a PDF or something like that. Let me show you an example of one. Okay, so am I still sharing my screen over here? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So this is just a simple lead magnet capture from Afra, who, I don't know, disappeared off the face of the earth. After working with us for 3 months, she, I don't know, moved on. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is just a simple lead magnet funnel where people can put their email in and they get something for free. Okay. Now these work, right? You can build an email list. They are effective, but we still need to nurture that lead after we grab that email. Okay. So going back to this, right? So that's it. That is a capture method. My epiphany, really, this is where I'm landing the plane. And my epiphany is that as a mastermind, my goal, my hope for everyone this year is whatever other funnels you have going on or want to build, or websites, lead captures, all that's great. Okay. But what turns leads into money is this nurture right here. Okay. This is where the money transaction happens. Now, I have helped a lot of people on the capture side, and I think I have been less focused on this nurture side. So that means I've been able to help people generate a lot of leads, but I don't know if I've done a great job in helping them with the nurture, with the follow-up. Okay. Which begs the question, is there a better way to actually accomplish this minimum viable marketing flywheel? Is there a better tactic to help you implement and really take care of everything at once? Who would rather do one thing well than 4 things okay? One, okay, all right, that's good. We're on the same page. And I realized of all the different marketing assets that you can create, if you're gonna take your time to focus on building a marketing asset, it's like, well, what do I do? There's a lot of different funnels that I can build. I could build a book funnel. I could have a lead capture funnel. I could redo my website to make it look like a funnel. Like what's the best thing? Because we're all busy, right? back to the pterodactyl poop. The pterodactyls are always circling, ready to poop on us, right? And if we have a limited time to work on the business, what should we be working on? Anyone ever felt that? It's like, okay, I got 101 things to do and I don't know what to start with, so I'm going to do nothing. Okay, right. And so I realized that a webinar, or you could call it a presentation, is the all-in-one. You can accomplish the flywheel in one fell swoop. Okay, and let me explain why. Now, this is a overview of a simple, perfect webinar. Now, it's a lot of slides. You can simplify it. Well, this isn't a simple one. This is a full webinar. Okay, but a webinar presentation that clearly explains the result you deliver, who you are, your backstory, the ways in which you deliver a result. It accomplishes everything in the flywheel in one fell swoop. Okay. To write a webinar, you need to know who your dream client is. You need to have absolute clarity on how to communicate to them. So you need to talk about the pain points that they're interested in. Otherwise, no one's going to stick around for the webinar. Okay. With the webinar, you have all that content, right? Look at all those slides. I mean, you could take each slide and turn it into 5 or 10 different social media posts and just talk about what that one element, right? So that one case study, that one bit of strategy, right? So if you create a webinar, you have a whole year plus worth of content to take ready to go. Okay, you don't even have to think about it. You just take that one slide and that's your starting point. Okay, does that make sense? Now, with the webinar, you need to invite people to watch it. So it is an easy way to ask for people's contact information. You say, hey, give me your email. I'll send you this presentation. Or if you want to do the in-video conversions, like we've been talking about most recently, you start the webinar, and once they're hooked, you say, hey, to continue this presentation, give me your name and email, and we'll continue this presentation. And I'll also send you the slide outline so you can read it later. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now, a webinar, it nurtures that relationship. The person can feel connected to you, right? The first time I saw Russell's webinar where he spoke on Grant Cardone's stage at 10X, it's like I felt like I'd known the guy forever. It was a 45-minute presentation, but he tells his backstory, right? So with a webinar, you're telling your backstory. You're telling 4 key stories. You can tell more, but you're telling the why behind what you do. Okay. I remember the first time I started to implement this in my own business, and the mastermind had been going for 6 or 9 months at that point. And I actually shared my backstory, and people who had been coming for a long time, they're like, oh, I never knew that about you. And I went, I've never talked about this. And they go, no, never. Like, oh, it makes sense why you do this now. I went, oh my gosh. So you can warm that relationship up. You can get them to know, like, and trust you in a very short amount of time if you just present the information in a succinct manner. All right. So you can nurture that lead very quickly. And most importantly, they understand what happens if they invest in your solution. And it doesn't matter if it's a product, if it's a program, it doesn't matter what you're selling. Like, it really applies to any vertical. Like, let's say you made an e-commerce product, because usually perfect webinars are focused on like coaching programs and things like that. But you can make a webinar about why you created this product and all the different ways that you can use this product to achieve a goal. Let's say you had a hair, like a hair doohickey or something like that. And you can have case studies of all the different people who have used this thing and it's changed their life, right? That's kind of a silly example. But my point is, you can use this presentation style regardless of what you are selling, okay? And oh my gosh. I'm alive. All right. And with the webinar, there's a clear call to action. There's a clear, excuse me, there's a clear next steps for them to either buy something or to meet with you or whatever it is, whatever your sales process is. Okay. So any questions or thoughts on kind of that tactic strategy?
So if I understand you correctly, we still have the MVM, but now the tool to move the MVM that we're going to use is the webinar.
Exactly. So MVM is the strategy. You have different tactics you can implement to fulfill the MVM. Personally, I use the MVM a lot offline, right? I send people letters in the mail. I send newsletters, right? I send physical packages in the mail. That's one way I publish. I'm just reminding them I can help them. All right. And so my point is there's so many different tactics you can apply to this, but in a broad one size fits all, it doesn't matter what business you're in. How can I help the most people? And how can I help you sitting here in this virtual room with me, like achieve the result in the shortest amount of time? I got to say it's a webinar, right? And it's not even the term webinar, it's a presentation. Let's say you want to do one-on-one sales. Like I don't want to host live webinars and then get a bunch of people in a room. I'm not a speaker. Oh, but I can talk to people one-on-one. The webinar gives you a framework and a slide deck to actually communicate your message to someone. Hey, let me show you a little a slide deck and I'll kind of walk you through what I'm all about. Like, okay, great. So if you want to do a live challenge or a live event like Denzor does, you can take the perfect webinar or pieces of it, and then now you can present it from stage, or you can break it up over 5 days or 3 days, or you can host a 4-hour workshop, right? And then do Q&A. So my point is, it is like the starting point. It is like the mother sauce. It's like when you make, when you would go to camp as a kid and you would have spaghetti one night and then it would be sloppy joes the next night. It's the same sauce, right? So that's the thing with the webinar. You make the sauce once and you can use it all these different ways.
Sauce.
Thank you, Scott. So, all right, Scott, what are your thoughts?
I'm excited. It kind of built on, I had a bit of an epiphany last week where I realized my presentation, my evergreen presentation that needs to go in that slide deck is about the strategic planning process. And then I realized, oh, I already even have my video done. I'm just going to show people a previously recorded live presentation. Anyway, so, it's definitely on the track I'm on that track. And yeah, just need to, like you said, it's like half baked, 90%, need to push it all the way there.
Yeah, cool. Paul, how are you this day? I want to say this morning, but you're in like a different land.
Yeah, 4:15 in the afternoon here. Hi everybody. Hey. Looking for my, yeah, I'm in an interesting place with using a slide deck, because because I can present a well laid out thing live without it. But there certainly is tremendous value to getting your flow with these. And I encourage my clients to understand that flow. So, I do a perfect webinar without slides. I haven't generated lots, generated lots of money with that, but I did manage. I did a perfect webinar. I did a couple perfect webinar things last year that brought me in about 45K time. So now I'm looking to ramp that shit up now.
What was that number you said?
45,000.
Okay, I'll take that in my bank account. Right. You're also a long-haired unicorn, right? You've been presenting your whole life. So yeah, and kind of like going back to one of my original points, like the perfect webinar is it's just a format. How you want to present it is totally up to you. If you want to internalize it and just bring it on stage or in front of the camera, that's great. Most people can't operate at that level. Like I can't. I go off on a tangent. So my point is, like, you can use it as a slide deck. You can use it as an outline. You can use it in one-on-one sales for how you communicate and interact with people. And really identifying the stories that you share that will help move the needle and get people to move to a buying decision.
Right. It's the level. It's the levels of outline all the way through to a, copy-ish, paste-ish, full-blown structure, and you can use it at whatever distance from it you want. But it is a very effective method, and I definitely use that as my model.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, let's we got a few minutes left. I kind of want to share with you, like, all right, so we're heading into the last week of January. What is the plan for FunnelFlow for the rest of the year? So let me just kind of lay that out real quick. So a few awesome things happening. I have recently just brought on an almost full-time funnel designer. So if you have a funnel that needs tweaking, finalizing, whatever, we're going to publish office hours where you can simply just claim a spot, and it's going to be an appointment, but it's not going to be a one-on-one appointment. So there could be one person there, there could be 5 people there, but knowing the size of the group, it'll probably be onesie twosies, where you can drop in, and he's like I've done with people a lot, like, hey, let's just get on a call and let's just get your funnel live. Okay. And so he's on my team. He has it's Sam at funnelflow.io. So you're going to be able to jump in, and wherever, if there's anything in your funnel that you want fixed or you want tweaked or you want something's not working, whatever. Scott, you ever had that before? Yeah.
Once a week, every day.
Yeah. Every day, every week. It's like, I want to fix this, or I'm not a designer. Well, he's a professional designer. He's a professional funnel consultant. He understands the strategy, and he can also just do it for you. So you just need to show up on that call and get it fixed, right? So that's going to be happening very soon. So you will, the booking calendar will be in the Slack under the all FunnelFlow members. And then also in the FunnelFlow marketing platform, you will, on the left-hand side, there's kind of like some helpful links. There will be a link where you can join those workshops. Okay. Secondly, the 2 main programs I am focusing on this year, outside of my one-on-one kind of done for you agency stuff, is helping people helping people execute their MBM with a webinar or a sales presentation, okay, or a book funnel, right? So lead capture and book funnels. So those are the main funnels I am focusing on. And so how can you be part of that? How can you like get into a perfect webinar so that you can clearly communicate what it is you're trying to sell? Okay, so basically I'm going to be putting in the members area just a simple course to walk you through it. And then also group workshop calls that you can be part of to actually build it out live in real time. And then you kind of take all that stuff to the funnel building call, and he can help you put it into the funnel. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm really trying to make this paint by numbers, that if you just show up once or twice a week, in a month or so, you will have your marketing campaign built out. All right, and then you can really focus on the promotion and the publishing, which is where the real where you start to see momentum. Okay, so let me see. So I have basically templates, I have worksheets, and if you want to Yeah, I have everything there, right? And really the hardest part is actually the executing of it. It's actually the implementation of it. So I'm going to be publishing a call schedule, right? And then I'm going to be actively selling people into those programs. But if you keep showing up, right, just keep coming. All right. Does that make sense? Right. If you're here on this call, I just want you there. Right. Yeah, I'm going to be selling people into those programs for as much money as I possibly can. LOL, joke, right? I want people to invest, because when people invest, they actually show up, they do the work. All right. So I'm selling people into these programs, but you guys have been with me for a while. I just want you guys to be successful. Right. And I know if you're successful with these things, one, that's good for you, but that's good for me, because I can highlight and celebrate that success, and it attracts more people. So my point is, if you want to be able to sell what you're selling with a webinar or a book funnel, like you've written a book or you have a book almost done or something like that, just show up to these group calls that you'll hear, that I'll publish the schedule, and just implement what we're talking about. And every group program will have a little course where you can kind of do the work, so that when you come to that call, that we can help you where you're stuck. Does that make sense? All right. So the main goal, we all have a working MVM flywheel. It's a engine of our business up and running in the next 1 to 2 months. Okay. Now, how we're going to do that, that is up to you, right? If you want to go the webinar route, great. If you want to do the book route, great. Or a little bit of both, great. I don't want to limit you. I'm just trying to put things on the calendar where you can just show up, and that if you keep showing up, it's going to happen. All right. Any questions? Yes, Paul.
I have a completed book, and I am working toward monthly repeatable webinars that will be driven through, ads into a funnel. Will I be diluting one with the other if I do both?
Well, ideally, you get them with the book, because people will buy a book without thinking about it before they give you an hour or 2 hours of their time to watch a webinar. So now everyone's a little unique, but that's kind of the way I understand consumer behavior. Like, hey, this is a good book, you should read it. Okay, no real argument there. All right, so you acquire them with the book, but you use the webinar to close them on your program.
Right.
So they buy the book, and then after they've bought the book, in the follow-up, it's, hey, watch this free presentation where I kind of teach blah, blah, blah. So
Right.
they really work together. Now, I don't like to say that out loud, because it kind of overwhelms people. They're like, man, I got to write a book and get that. Like, I got to build all these funnels. You don't have to, but if you have the stuff, absolutely do it.
Right. So book first with follow-up, retargeting into webinar.
You can mix and match it. So some people want to start. I take back my earlier statement. People are different. Some people are more interested to buy a book. Some people are more interested to watch a presentation. And so if wherever people, like, they're both front end offers, people can enter your world either way. Now, if they enter it through the webinar, after they register, say, hey, buy my book. Okay, because webinars are usually free. Now, if you sell the book right afterwards, you can now make your money back from whatever you spent to acquire them into your webinar. If they buy the book, right, you've got a little bit of money for them, but now you want them to really understand your group programs and how you can help them in a really succinct, short, easy to understand way. That's where the webinar comes in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They work together.
We'll touch on that on Friday, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Kind of sounds like you're talking about a flywheel, Caleb. Kind of sounds like that when you explain it that way.
Yeah, I'm trying to make something that is very overwhelming and frustrating, simple. That's what I'm trying to do. And it's not easy. It's actually hard to take away it's harder to take away than it is to add, right? And so there is so much you can do as a marketer, and we are all marketers for our own business. There's so much you can do. It's like, it's totally overwhelming, and then you end up doing nothing, or it's half-baked, right? And so I'm just trying to encourage you that if we just focus on these things, like if you have nothing, here's what I'm trying to say, and I'll land the plane with this. If you have nothing right now, like just an idea, and I don't say this in a negative way, Don Marie, but if your programs aren't built, all right, if you don't have any sales presentations, start with a webinar, because it forces you to get clarity on all these things you need to have an effective flywheel. Okay, it's a one-stop shop. If you're more established and you got a few things going on, well, we lost Jill, but you know, and a webinar doesn't quite make sense right now, that's okay. I still want you to work on the strategy of getting your message out there, capturing leads, and following up with them, right?
So if you don't mind me asking, so since you used it, based on what we've been working on the last few months, we did the in video thing that we had in Canva, so work on that. And then the grid that you use with the 4 audacious goals that we're supposed to plan, work on that, and then help bring all that together to do the webinar and get everything, the strategy for the business moving forward for the year.
Yeah, so the goal planning,
the webinar, and then the structure for the audacious goals.
well, the in video, that's actually just a way, that is a tactic to present a webinar. So that's the same thing as the webinar, essentially. So, and the goal planning, it's like, what are the big things I want to accomplish this year? Right? So really, that's the start. Like, where do I want to go this year? Because this, I see this as much more than just a marketing group. This is a business building group. Like, what do I want to do this year in business and in life? Okay, that's the goal planning. And then, okay, I need to get my messaging straight. I need to make my offers clear. If you're struggling with that, webinar is a great way to do that. Okay. And then the in-video conversions thing is really just a hack to get more people to watch your webinar. Right. So does that make sense? So I'm saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, we get it. Like I
Basically,
said,
just keep
we
showing
love
up.
this group because we're all like unicorns and it just fits. So we're your crowd.
Good, right? Paul's the long-haired unicorn. That's my new name for him, because he's unique and glittery, and we love him. Okay, what are your takeaways for the day? Yeah, Paul, since I'm picking on you, what's your takeaway for the day?
I've been working very hard to say no to everything that does not work within my very specific focus of what I'm doing on a daily basis to move my shit forward. And these things that you're talking about here are right on target. So, you know, it fits, because we all get barraged with loads of promises, and I'm homie, don't play. I'm just saying no to almost everything.
Good.
This shit is my focus now. One of my 2 focuses.
That's great. Randy, thank you, Paul. You get the last word.
I have 2 takeaways. The first takeaway was when we talked about the flywheel, I recognize that it's a whole lot like marriage. Marriage has 3 legs to it. Without one of the legs, it's really not marriage. So without all of those parts of the flywheel, you don't really have an entire perfect communication for what you're doing. That's the first takeaway. The second takeaway is what you were just saying with Don Marie, and that was that the BHAG, the putting together your goals, where there's no vision, the people perish. I mean, you have to have that vision, and then you communicate it. So those are my 2 takeaways. And it's really helpful to me to actually have heard that today. So.
Love it. Awesome. Cool. Well, perfect. Thanks so much for spending an hour with us this morning. If you're able to jump in at our 8:30 accountability call to really hear where you're at, what you're working on, and what your incremental goals for the week are, encourage you to dial in an hour. That'll just be a 60-minute call, 45, 60-minute call. And really the purpose of that call is just accountability, stay on track. Where are you stuck? What resources can we get you to help you accomplish what we talked about today? So appreciate you guys. Keep your eyes on the Slack. If you're not a member of the Slack, like Rod, I see you in the background. I will invite you to the Slack. That's kind of our community hub for communication. So just stay plugged in, share your ideas, get feedback on what you're working on, so that we can really support each other and make that a really useful, helpful, your favorite place of the day. So anyway, appreciate you guys, and we'll talk real soon.
Check the chat. I sent